Hello and welcome back. I am here with my wonderful friend Tracy.
I am here with my absolutely delightful friend Amber.
And we are the Road to Tarvalin, a Wheel of Time podcast, but today we're not going to be talking about Wheel of Time. We are going to be talking about episode 5 of House of the Dragon. And this has been a really fun series. I wasn't so sure at the beginning because I had my hopes and dreams smashed by the last couple seasons of A Game of Thrones, but I have to say I've been pretty impressed with this new endeavor by HBO.
Agreed.
And I'm ready to just jump into it. I feel like there's so much that happened this episode. And I guess it starts out in the Vale. We have Lady Rhea Royce hunting alone.
She seems like a badass. Yes. But okay, so in the inside the episode, they were talking about, that's how the episode starts and how perhaps Daemon didn't like her just because she was a strong female who didn't like him, and that's why he was always talking smack about her. But they were like, how perfect to introduce her and then immediately kill her. And I was like, oh, that is very, very Game of Thronesy. I like that a lot.
Yeah, but if he doesn't like strong women, then why is he attracted to Rhaenyra? Questions.
Different layers of strengths and vulnerabilities and desires, possibly.
Yeah, ages.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Rhaenyra's really young.
She's a little bit easier to manipulate in that manner.
She's been, in some ways, groomed by her uncle, and so she has this opinion of him and in a lot of ways this desire for him.
What I really love about this introduction of the Royce family, House Royce, is they got the armor right. So
Really?
I believe they're from Runestone, and you can tell on her armor, it looks like it's leather. The top piece is kind of flat, and then the part below the collar area, you can see the runes carved into their armor, and I really liked it. It was a big difference from Bronzion Royce in A Game of Thrones. Just a cool little switch, but oh my gosh, I'm dying for all of the costumes this episode. Oh my goodness. Oh,
do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I think House Valerian at the wedding banquet, when they walk in and they're all in black and gold, and it's just really contrasting with Rhaenyra's pure white and gold. The whole crew walked in there, and it was just a feast for the eyes. I mean, the set itself was just so good. It was so good. You can tell the money there in this scene where it's just oh my gosh, think of all of the hours and details that went into just creating this room. The way that the food was laid out, this big ornate flowery feathery thing hanging from the ceiling over their table. It was just so cool. So
delightful. I feel as though that is a set piece that showed every bit of the budget that was spent into it, and it felt effective and right.
They're announcing each house as they walk in, and you get all of the details from the clothing, I want to say, as each family walks in. There's hidden details in the clothing that can show you who these people are. And
their alliances. Did you catch that part where they were talking about Queen Alicent's green dress?
Yeah, well, let's go back to the beginning.
Sure.
So Daemon kills his lady wife by spooking her horse and bashing her head in with a rock.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Cold.
And I wish that I would have gotten to see how he spooked her horse, because it cuts to her grabbing for a bow, and then the horse rears up, so we don't see what Daemon did.
Maybe it's just him. Maybe
Right.
he's just a spooky presence, and the
That
horse is like,
it's just your face. It's just your face.
dude, you're smarmy. I see you from a mile away. Yeah, that's what it is.
At first, thought that his dragon was going to swoop overhead.
Ooh.
But this makes much more sense because if there was
Absolutely.
a dragon flying over the veil, then someone would see it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the accusation against Damon would have stuck regardless. Like, it wouldn't matter
Right.
what he did. They'd be like, oh, there was a dragon. That's kind of your thing, right, man?
And his dragon is so different looking than the rest. It would be so easy to pinpoint on him.
Yeah.
Syraxes is cool.
Exactly. You wouldn't confuse it for somebody else's dragon.
No.
You'd be like, oh, we know who that dragon belongs to.
We saw the bloodworm in the sky. It's over. Lock him up.
Exactly.
Then we cut to the Targaryen ship headed to Driftmark. And King Viserys is pretty much retching over the side. He's not doing too hot. This is going to be a big theme of this entire episode. A lot of sickness.
Sure is. Yep.
For our poor king. How do you like him? How would you describe him? Do you think he's a good king? A decent man?
Mediocre at best. That's how I feel about him.
These are my thoughts exactly.
One word description.
I wrote down Westeros's okayest boss.
He gets that award.
He gets a mug.
Year. Yeah, there's a nobility award show. Oh, poor Viserys. Yeah. I think one of the things that really struck me about his health decline throughout this episode was also just the really stark contrast to Princess Rhaenyra. So the king shows up. They're planning on doing this marriage between their kids, Valeria and Targaryen and blah, blah, blah. And he's all hacking and just weak. He's just weak. And when Princess Rhaenyra comes in, she busts open the doors and she's like, blah, blah, blah. Look at me. I am radiant and strong and fully capable and should have been the queen.
Oh, Rhaenys.
Rhaenys, did I say it wrong? Yes. That's
you said Rhaenyra.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That makes an entirely different...
The names, man. These names. It's even going to get worse coming up next episode.
No! But yeah, I had to wonder, in that moment, this doubt around who should have been monarch. Why are we fighting so hard to keep one over the other when we can clearly see that gender doesn't define whether you're going to be healthy, capable, whatever. And here you have this very stark contrast of what his heir can become if she doesn't get pulled down by people around her, which is another thing that I want to talk about too.
Yeah, Rhaenys is just one of those characters I've loved from the beginning.
Right.
I love that she is immediately walking out in pants.
Right.
She's not wearing a gown.
Huh.
But there's something that happens before that when the carriage pulls up and the new hand of the king, it's Lionel. The new hand of the king, Lionel, is like, hey, where's Corlys to greet us? Because he's feeling pretty spurned because it's just the children of House Valerian to greet them, and Corlys is nowhere to be found. But I think this, too, speaks to King Viserys' declining health because he's just over it. He's like, I got to get in there and do the thing. Time is of the essence. Yeah. So Otto and Alicent have a conversation where Otto is explaining that Viserys is going to die and war will erupt and Alicent's children will be killed by Rhaenyra.
Yep.
And the realm's not going to accept her on the throne. Period. I think this is the turning point for her.
I agree. He throws in that threat against her children That's about all it takes for her to be like, you know what, if it's between Rhaenyra and my children, it's my children. And I mean, that's a decision any mother would make. I think there was a missed opportunity here. I mean, if this were to be written in a way where someone wanted a peaceful transition of power, I think the instructions could have been different. Like, why not, instead of being like, she's going to kill your kids, say something like, if the two of you become allies and show the kingdom that you support each other and the decisions that you make, then there can be a peaceful transition of power without a lot of loss of life. But instead, he plants this like hardcore seed into her, like, they will die. He has no doubt about it. And his way is the only way. And any kind of friendship that she could have had with Rhaenyra before is now gone. I feel as though there could have been... He's defying the king's wants. Instead of offering advice that goes along with what the king has declared, he's like, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Well, there's a reason that he's doing this. He wants his grandchild sitting on the throne. So I don't think that he would go about it any other way, you know?
No. And that is another thing that like makes me upset about this, is because he's just been using his daughter this entire time. He's the one putting everyone in danger.
Everyone in danger, correct.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there is a chance that this would happen even if he stepped back and, you know, didn't plant any seeds in Alicent's head. But at the same time, like you said, there could have been a middle ground where things could have been a safer option.
Mm-hmm. Like, he has put his desire for power over his daughter's well-being every step along the way so far. And it's disgusting, Sir Otto. You should be ashamed of yourself.
He's very reminiscent of Tywin Lannister, but a different type of manipulation, I feel like. It's almost always like, I'm coming from a place of friendship, or
I'm looking out for you.
Right. He really plays that off well, and I think that's Viserys' weak spot, which last week he finally had Rhaenyra bring it up, and he's like, okay, well, I have to get rid of this guy. I mean, that was her wish to him. Like, yeah, I'll marry Laenor, but you got to get rid of this dude. And this had consequences, which we are seeing in this episode. So if we move forward a little bit, we've got Larys, Strong, and Alicent in the garden, and Larys informs Alicent that the Grand Maester delivered a tea to Rhaenyra, and it is now this, you know, light bulb moment where Alicent knows that this was something to take care of an unwanted pregnancy. And I guess, like, this is her evil queen origins moment. I honestly, I struggle with her motivations. I guess maybe that she's just someone that's really concerned with almost morality. Like, Rhaenyra lied to her, and that's this big deal breaker for her.
Yep.
Which is understandable, but at the same time, under the circumstances of living in this era, could Rhaenyra have done anything else? You know? I mean, she could have been honest with her, but at the same time...
Well, that makes me wonder, because she does have that moment where she's talking with Sir Criston, and, like, he's making his confession to her, and Alicent refers to Rhaenyra's lack of morality. Like, that's the thing that she's holding against her. So I have to, like, we haven't really seen her be attached to any kind of religion, but is there the possibility of some sort of religious fervor that will come about?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, cool. Yes, awesome. I love that. Is that what you're thinking too?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Because
cool.
I feel as though we're going to get this heavy implied religiosity from Queen Alicent. Because, she, again, I'm doing air quotations, she taught Rhaenyra to pray in one of those early episodes.
Yep.
Which I think was a really kind of strange choice. Everybody knows how to pray.
Right.
But it's okay.
But okay, whatever.
So we've had clues in there. So after this happens between Alicent and Larys, we move back to Driftmark Castle, and King Viserys proposes that Rhaenyra and Laenor should be wed, and Princess Rhaenys greets Viserys, and she's all, cousin, and she grabs his hand to shake it and notices that he's missing fingers in his gloved hand.
The king is literally falling apart.
He is. And he says that the halls of High Tide impressed him. And yes, me too. That was an impressive castle. Loved the inside. Corlys informs the king that Lady Rhea Royce has died in a hunting mishap. And the camera kind of lingers for a moment. And Lionel Strong, the new hand of the king, almost appears to understand the implications of this. I think Lionel Strong is probably the smartest person that's been introduced into the story. He seems to have the best advice so far going forward. I like him. I don't know what's up with Larys, his son. He's kind of an ass.
I wrote down slimy.
Yeah.
He's like slimy new guy shows up.
Yeah. So the king reiterates that Rhaenyra is the true heir of the realm, and the crown will go to her firstborn regardless of gender. Corlys wants the heir to have the name Valerian. Viserys wants them to have the name Targaryen, and they strike up a compromise. The children will have the Valerian name at birth, but when the firstborn ascends to the throne, they will take the name Targaryen.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed in this section of the episode was how Rhaenyra is left out of the discussion between her father and Lord Corley. Rhaenys, thank you. Between them, among them, she never really gets to fully take her place as heir. She's always being shut out of conversations, and it's because of her gender. If she would have been a male heir, these conversations would have been very different. And it's just that one more thing that's in her face all the time. You are a woman, you really don't belong in the place that your dad is telling you that you belong in. And he actually seems like he's, he really wants this to happen. Like, he really wants to keep his word to his daughter that she will be queen, that she will inherit the throne, that he will not replace her with his son no matter what comes. And I respect that choice. Not sure about what led to those decisions.
I have a bit of a hard time with Rhaenyra because on one hand, I really like her and I really like the actress.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I do sense a little bit of hypocrisy from her because in the very beginning, she's like, I would never want to, have to do work. I just want to ride on my dragon and eat cake. She's not for politicking or anything. But now that she's had a taste of the idea of her becoming queen, things have changed apparently. So maybe it's not hypocrisy, people grow and things change. But at the same time, she's not exactly acting in a way that would set her up to be the best she can in that position. And some of that is due to her family not teaching her. I mean, she was a cupbearer for a while, but everything she said and did kind of just got scoffed at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you laughing at her? Teach her, Why is that answer not correct? Why do we do this? How should things be going?
Yep.
They're not really training her to be the queen that she could be. So it's kind of like all the things set up for her all around her is almost just setting her up to fail no matter what.
Yeah.
Her gender, the way that she's been brought up, the way that she's not being taught, and then, of course, her own choices.
Yeah.
So on one side, I'm really rooting for her, and on the other side, I'm like, girl, you need to get in counseling. Like, your family has major issues. This could be really beneficial for all of you. Let's get the whole Targaryen family in. This is a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. Well, and then throw Daemon on
For
top
taste
of
of
it.
men, I just...
Yes!
I can't.
Yes.
I can't. I mean, Daemon is awful. Mm-hmm. He is terrible. Mm-hmm. Fun to watch, but a terrible person.
I think she definitely wants him. Does that seem like a safe thing to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, out of all of the men that she's encountered, you can see he's still the one who excites her the most.
Yeah, and we see a lot of that later. Oh boy, can't wait to get there. Okay, so then we move to this beach location, and Laenor, Valerian, and Rhaenyra are walking together, and they strike this deal between the two of them that they will marry and have an heir and do their duty, but they can both go on and keep a paramour of their choosing because Laenor prefers men. And they both seem pretty damn skippy, like very happy.
Right.
And this is the perfect outcome for both of them, right?
Yes.
Perfect outcome. But of course, in true HBO fashion, all good things must come to an end.
You know it's not safe for long.
Right. We go back to the castle on Driftmark, and Corlys is gazing at that mask that the crab feeder guy was wearing, the one that Daemon killed. Mm-hmm. And Rhaenys says that Viserys went to bed while his ship was being readied. Mm-hmm. Another hint at him being unwell. Yep. There's a little bit more dialogue, and I believe Corlys says, perhaps I overextended myself and pushed him too close to the edge. And she says, my cousin chose to sail into this tempest. Mm-hmm. It's undignified of the king to drag himself here and beg for Laenor's hand. Mm. So I liked this kind of like nod to a tempest because their house is on the coast and they're a seafaring
yep.
house. So I liked this kind of insert and dialogue of sailing into a tempest. I thought that was nicely written. Mm-hmm. They discuss Laenor's true nature, and Corlys is like, he'll outgrow it. And Rhaenys, I think, knows better. She's just kind of like, okay, but this succession is going to be challenged. And Corey's like, yeah, well, we've got the majority of the dragons right now. So I think half of the dragons.
Yep. And the naval fleet, they have that. He's like, we've got this on lockdown. It doesn't even matter. Like,
right.
They pledged their allegiance. Yeah, go for it. Like, he's like ready. He is down for this. It is what he wants to have happen. I just wanted to comment on the conversation that Rhaenyra and Laenor, the conversation that they have as they're discussing their preferences. Goose, roast duck, anyone. I thought this was such a cool way of showing like the possibilities of having an open marriage in a way. Like they're basically saying, you know what? We have a duty to do, and we'll do that, and we'll still get to do the things that, feed our appetites in a healthy way. And instead of resenting each other, instead of having to be secretive with each other, they bonded. They're allies to each other now. They know each other's deepest secret, and they're going to keep it safe so that they can like they are making intelligent compromises around emotional and sexual well-being. And I think that that's really smart. Right?
Insert applause here. Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought that was well done. I felt that the moment that comes later between Laenor and his lover is very sweet as well, and well filmed. There have definitely been some moments in this episode where I'm like, it's Claire Klein, I'm pretty sure, for the director.
Claire Kleiner, yep.
She gets fucking 2 thumbs up from me. I am loving her direction in these episodes. Seriously.
Yeah, it's really
Never
good.
paid such close attention to like how an episode is looking at shows like this much more closely. And I'm just like, well done. Well done. I hope she gets some sort of award. She gets a Road to Tarvalin award.
Accolades. I do want to point out that something that Corlys says when he's talking to Rhaenys about Rhaenyra's claim to the throne being challenged. Corlys says not allowing like a queen to happen is a small-minded error. And at first I was like, yeah, you tell him, Corlys. But at the same time, I also wonder if he was a woman, would he be so quick to brush this off? Like, he doesn't seem fazed. Like, we have dragons, we have an army. What are they going to do? It was almost like they wanted to show, like, this is the hyper masculine way to be like, I'm above this. We are stronger, you know, strength.
Yeah. And violence.
And Rhaenys is like, no, like, you need to listen to me. You need to understand. So I think they have a really interesting dynamic. I like this couple. I really like this pairing. And I really like their kids.
Yeah, I agree.
We can move to...
Actually, I just wanted to touch on when Rhaenys says, to what end? When she was responding to her husband. Like, this violent moment, we could take it forward. And she's like, why? What's the purpose? And I'm like, yes, call him out on that. Good for you. She's telling Corlys, she's like, I don't even know if we should do this. Our son becomes a target the minute he becomes betrothed to her, married to her, more so once they start having children. So she's aware of the fact that this is the danger zone, if you will, and is not necessarily thrilled with the idea. Like, she has reservations, and with good reason. She sees things, and she's willing to speak up. She would have made an excellent queen.
I love Eve Best. I really liked her on Nurse Jackie. She's great. Love her. So we
Nurse
moved
Jackie
to
is the show? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Nurse Jackie. Yeah. So Laenor and Joffrey Longmouth discuss their future together. And Rhaenyra's proposal is pretty much better than what either of them could have hoped for. And we get a little rough and tumble in the in the seagrass,
yeah, along the dunes with the sun glinting off of them, and it was so lovely.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And then we move to the Targaryen ship, and oh god,
man,
I have feelings. So Kristen Cole kind of corners Rhaenyra, and
I'm just shaking my head.
He asks her to leave her position behind her and choose freedom with him, be nameless and see the world together. And she walks away.
What the fuck kind of offer is that?
I can show you the world.
Fuck that, street rat.
Yeah. So she walks away and says she must follow through with her duty, and she informs him of her and Laenor's understanding, and he is very upset after this. He is
not happy.
He says he doesn't want to be her whore, and he says that he's broke his oath. And he says, I quote, I thought if we were married, I might be able to restore it. Talking about his honor. Boy, bye. This is the worst thing you can say. I thought if we were married, I might be able to restore my honor. This is not how a proposal should go, my friend. It's not, I love you. I want to take care of you. I want to be with you. It's, I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this to restore my honor. It's nothing about you. And this makes him 100% despicable in my eyes. Hate Hate.
Yes.
Hate.
100%. I agree with you. My note was, Sir Kristen, you fool. Like, she's going to be the queen. She doesn't want to run off with you and be a peasant. She can be the queen. She's already a princess. Why would she give that up for you? And I love that that's almost exactly what she says, too. She's like, trade all of this for like a bushel of oranges? Like, I just wanted us to be able to like hang out and be friends and have sex. Why aren't you okay with this? I'm okay with this. Like, it's a very different response than what you get with...
She were a man and he were her paramour, it would have been different. I feel as though it's almost like we're supposed to be making these discussions around, like, male anger. And he feels like this is almost owed to him.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's really distasteful. I really, really hate Kristen Cole. He is just the worst. He's such a snake. Can't stand the man. Can't.
Was not expecting this from him. I really wasn't. Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I knew
too
it
bad.
couldn't. Well, I knew it couldn't be good.
Well,
right?
that's true.
Like,
It's Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Related.
So he storms off, and then we move to King's Landing. Alicent is watching from a window as King Viserys exits his carriage and then collapses. And then in the background, you can hear someone calling for the maesters. So the maesters are called in the background, and then you hear Kristen Cole being summoned by the queen. And then
that's what
we
it is.
move to Alicent's chambers and the crying babies. So this is so funny. So I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but a running like set piece of this show has been sex tapestries of like people having an orgy. And this is the same, I think these are the same tapestries that Alicent was like, Damon, do you want to go see the tapestries? And everyone's like, no. And now they're apparently in her quarters where she's holding her crying babies. And it's
the
like
porn
people
tapestries.
with like, yeah, there's people with like legs behind a head, like intertwined.
I didn't even notice that.
What is going on, Alicent? Like,
she's repressed. I mean, seriously, how can she not feel like so much of the weird sexual tension that flows around in like all of the interactions? Like, of course she's going to notice that, feel it. She's a young woman, but she's completely denied any kind of outlet. Maybe porn tapestries is the way to go.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it's a healthy outlet, I guess. Why not?
Exactly. Yeah, she's not hurting anybody.
Her, I would just be... I mean, I feel kind of bad saying this, but if I were her, I would just be waiting for Viserys to die. He's not lasting that much longer. Like, she can get a new husband.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, just
why not?
Whatever. Yeah.
Girl, chill.
Maybe start slipping stuff in his tea. Is that the wrong answer? Don't assassinate the king.
Read a book. Do some yoga. I don't know. Deep calming breaths. Meditate, man.
I don't know. She's
trying to pull the realm into...
chaos.
It's a civil war.
Chaos. I mean, seriously, that's where this is going. We have this, like, meek young girl who's gonna go full on...
Green Queen.
I'm eager to see what that something is. Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Alicent questions Sir Kristen Cole, and she now knows about Rhaenyra drinking this tea, and she wonders if Kristen knows about her errors. And he's like, yep, well, I've committed sins at her instigation. My oaths have been broken. Give me a quick death instead of torture. And she's
Please don't geld me.
Yeah, she's like, you're excused and thank you for your honesty. And like, that's it. So
like it was more like a visit to the principal's office.
It really was.
Like, oh, well, thanks for sharing, go back and be nice to the other kids. But I mean, he has given her a gift. She can take out Rhaenyra anytime she wants. Right.
What a dummy.
Dumb.
Didn't even let her finish the sentence. What a dummy.
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
Kristen Cole.
I feel like that was my theme when like writing about him was like, God, man, you really didn't think before you did that.
You can't win, but you're not even trying. Like, could you
Yeah.
try less?
Just maybe he needed to make that confession and now new ally, because he's definitely not going to be, you know, Rhaenyra's confidant and lover the way that he had been. And so he's like spurned and spiteful and angry.
He's trying to find a way to negate the oaths and honor that he's lost. And in this case, it's like repentance. So it's all about him, really, you know? He's so focused on himself, he can't even let the queen finish her sentence without interrupting her. Which, again, interrupting the queen? Again, Kristen, who are you?
What kind of rude asshole are you? Exactly.
Who raised you? Were you born in a barn?
That was what I was going to say. Maybe.
Okay.
We really don't know like all that much about his backstory. So perhaps there was some barnyard shenanigans in his past and we're just unaware of it. I love that idea.
So we move to the king's quarters and the maesters are like, bring in the leeches. And another maester has like, oh, hey, I've prepared this poultice. But then the grand maester is like, no, the king's leeches work best.
Yeah.
Which, there is something going on with the maesters here. There's really something, because first off, the maester that brought Rhaenyra the tea, we don't know who ordered it. Like, did the king order it? Did someone else?
I'm assuming. That was who I assumed did
Right?
it, was the king. Kind of a dick move. You really fucked up. Let's make sure that nothing happens because of it.
Right, but I also wasn't sure if it was a test where it would be like, if she drinks it, he knows she's lying. And if she doesn't, then she's telling the truth.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that.
But it's possible that it wasn't even sent by the king. It's possible that it was sent by one of the maesters, or it was sent by the old hand of the king as a test.
That's what I was just
Maybe
wondering.
Otto did it. So who knows?
Interesting.
But anyways, the Grand Maester is refusing to use the poultice, which to me it's like, obviously the leeches aren't working, dude. Like,
right. Try
time
something
for
different.
Option number 2. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because Viserys is necrotic from the hand to, it looked like above the elbow.
Yeah.
And then he drinks a sleeping potion and he asks Lionel, do you think I will be remembered as a good king? And Lionel's like, you kept the realm strong. It is not better to live in peace than to have songs sung after you're dead. And the king's like, well, I don't know. And Lionel's just like, those who are tested wish to have been spared. And then probably my favorite line of this episode was Viserys saying, you're right as always. I don't know, something about Lionel just really interesting to me. The way that he's subtly kind of put in these episodes, he's always saying the right thing. And I feel like he's been the most genuine to the king so far. This could change. He could be trying to manipulate him in a way. I don't know, but
who knows?
As it stands right now, I like the guy.
Same. So do I.
Then we move to the open sea with the Valyrian fleet. And I loved this scene so much. I loved all of the ships on the water with the sigil kind of just flapping in the wind, and Rhaenys riding her dragon Melees, and Laenor flying on sea smoke, and the bows of the ship are just covered in gold. And I'm like, yes, family.
Power.
I love these guys. Yes.
They are a very cool bunch.
Right?
Like, If you want to assign one word to that group, in my head, what comes to mind is like swagger. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Just power and well-dressed, beautiful. Like, that combination of like darker skin with that white hair just gets me. I fucking love it.
So much
and
gold.
gold. Add all the gold. We just can because, you know, why not? We're Valerians. All the gold. Yeah. All the gold. I loved it.
So, and again, Rhaenys' dragon, Meleys, is the fastest known dragon at this time. And I liked how that. On this little clip, you can kind of see it like pull ahead. They're neck and neck, both the dragons. And Meleys is like, whoop, like, peace out. Like, and just does like this little like wing flap and kind of just skirts on out of there. It's really cute. But
I was just appreciating the flight of the dragons as it was happening. I like it even more now. That's so fun. Yeah.
I believe Rhaenys' dragon is called the Red Queen. Yeah. So as like we have this going on, you hear in the background a voice say, like, announcing the start of the royal weddings. And then we move to this elaborate banquet room, and I believe it's the Kingsguard, Sir Harold Westerling, is announcing the houses as they enter the welcome feast. And he's saying, House Lannister. House Lannister walks in. House Hightower, the voice of Old Town. You know, they walk in. And then smarmy Lord Jason Lannister walks up to the table and's like, oh, what a grand feast this is. I can't wait to see what's planned for the wedding. Yeah. Okay, this is totally breaking the third wall because me too, Jason. I really want to see what happens, what's planned for the wedding. So the queen, we hear, is late, and then Jason says, this is why men wage war, because women would never be ready for the battle in time. And Rhaenyra is like, huge eye roll. Like, oh, God.
Thanks for being here. Go sit down. Goodbye.
Right. Then Gerald Royce approaches. So then, after Gerald Royce shows up, House Valerian enters, and the costumes, and Laenor kisses Rhaenyra's hand, and everyone claps, and she's got rubies in her hair, and they're so beautiful, and they look great. And this can't possibly end on a high note, Tracy, can it?
Well, I mean, I just wrote down, did you just know that shit was going to go wrong?
Yeah.
It can't last. It can't last.
Because Daemon walks in.
Right.
Of course.
I think Alicent comes first.
Daemon enters, and then Viserys starts making a speech.
You're right. You're right. I just remembered that my order was wrong because I was thinking like, oh, Daemon gets like the special strut in entrance, interrupt everything, blah, 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 all eyes on him. And then like...
showed up by Alicent this time.
Yeah. Alicent shows up and she's like, oh, you thought you were going to show everybody up? I'm interrupting everything right now. And decked in green, looks like a queen. Yeah.
And this is where okay, so she's walking in, and the camera cuts to Harwin Strong, who is brothers to Larry Strong. And Harwin says, the king will not be happy, right in the midst of his speech. And Larry says, the beacon of Hightower. Do you know what color it glows when Old Town calls its banners to war? And Harwin says, green. So her walking in is like an active declaration of war, basically.
It is.
Goosebumps.
Exactly. I backed that up and watched it again. I was like, ooh, that's good. I like that. There was in the inside the episode, they're like, we think it's pretty subtle. And I was like, I don't know about that, guys. What? Mildly subtle, maybe.
I cannot watch behind the episode stuff because every time they say something, I'm just like, yeah, okay, I don't know, okay.
I love it. I love it. And like Claire Kleiner was talking about how like the end of the episode is just kind of this result of what happens when parents try to tell their kids how to live their lives, and massive resentments come apart because of it. Like, and I feel like that's a really good like angle to look at it from, because they are all so young in this moment. Because you have Rhaenyra, Sir Kristen, and Laenor's lover, Joffrey, right?
Joffrey. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he even approaches Sir Kristen, like he figures out that this is who Rhaenyra's got the thing for. Am I jumping too far ahead? I don't want to jump too far ahead. I'm sorry.
There are some things, a few small things that happen right before that.
Yeah.
So as Viserys is interrupted by Alicent's arrival, he eventually finishes his speech. So apparently there was supposed to be 7 days of tournaments and feasting for this wedding.
Yeah.
I will never like get over not being able to see that, but okay. So
you wanted another tournament scene? Is that what you wanted?
Yes. I did. So the royal couple dances, and as they're dancing, both of their paramours are watching, and eventually everyone joins them to dance. Alicent meets with her uncle, who tells her Old Town stands with you.
Mm-hmm. Isn't he wearing green? Like, I feel as though he and his wife are both wearing green when they approach her.
If it's their house colors, that would make sense.
Yeah, it would. But if we're, like, connecting in this green color, then to me it was like, we are your allies. Like, even down to the statement of the color we choose to wear tonight, you know? Like, maybe she's somehow already been in contact with them, and she's like, I really need you. I need you to be present.
Or her father.
Yeah, or her father has stepped in. Because isn't he like, I was worried about what would happen to you. What was it, like too much sun to thrive in King's Landing or something like that? And like he wanted to help her out. So yeah, maybe her dad was the one who stepped in and requested him to be there. Entirely possible. The dance style that they do, I think, is so fun because it's so reminiscent of a minuet. And it's that style of dancing where it's like very intricately patterned, and you dance around each other, but you never really fully touch each other. But there's still like this intimacy and connection to it. And I thought it was such a sweet moment, even though you could see that they're like, their lovers are jealous. They're actually happy. Right. They're like, we can make this work. Like, we totally thought this was going to be like, I know, right? And they're like, let's dance. We're not great at it, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Everything's going to be fine. Moving forward. Nope.
Things were not okay.
They so rarely are.
Lord Gerald Royce walks up to the table and confronts Daemon over Lady Rhea's death. And he accuses Daemon of killing her pretty much flat out. And Daemon's like, oh, yeah, well, since she is dead, I would like the inheritance to pass to me. So I'll be seeing ya.
Yep, I'll be flying in with my dragon.
Yeah. God, he is just awful. So at this moment, Daemon kind of makes eyes with Lady Laena Velaryon, and they go to the dance floor together. Laenor is speaking to Joffrey Lonmouth secretively, and Joffrey is like, I figured it out. Kristen Cole, that's the one that she's having sex with. I know it. He's seeing Kristen, like, look on at her dancing, and you can tell that he's upset. There's something bothering him. So Joffrey's put it all together. Camera cuts to Viserys, like, struggling to cut his food, and he's just smashing it. Like, it was so painful to watch.
I'm so glad you made that observation.
This piece of meat. Brutalizing.
I was like, oh my God, how much harder do you want it to hit home that Viserys is a fucking mess?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just sitting there watching him like, oh my God, you
he's
poor dude.
Shredding. Is it like, shrimp or crab or something? It's just
it looks like
I can't
maybe
tell
lobster.
At this point.
Yeah, he's all like mashy mash hands. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Let's tenderize this lobster. Oh.
He's just making sure the seasonings get further into the meat before he enjoys it. That's what it is. That's what it is. He's a connoisseur, not clumsy.
But I like how this is done because it really like amps up the tension and the way that it's done with the music as well. So Joffrey's like, yeah, it's Kristen Cole. Cut to Viserys, like, can't cut his food. Joffrey confronts Kristen Cole, and then as that happens, Daemon moves in on Rhaenyra. Then we cut back to Viserys smashing his food up again, but like looking up, like looking onward, like trying to see what's going on in the crowd. And Daemon and Rhaenyra have this whole conversation in High Valyrian, and he's basically saying like, look, Laenor is going to bore you to death.
Yes.
Daemon's marriage is over, so she says, so take me, and she's flirting with him. Girl,
yeah,
no shame. This man is awful.
She's
terrible
like, bust through the Kingsguard, take me to Dragonstone and make me your wife. Like, she's baiting him. I was so expecting him to kind of take her up on that. Like, I was like, just waiting for him to just swoop her up and for the two of them to disappear. That's what I was waiting for.
So what I'm waiting for is Daemon to make her life miserable the same way that he's done to everyone else that he's around, because they're not going to end up being able to be together. Like, this wedding's happening. They're not going to get married. So what is Daemon going to do to pretty much, like, just terrorize her life?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of like how she ended up with Kristen Cole in the first place. Like, Daemon, I think, was her first, I don't know, feeling of, like, being a woman, like, womanhood.
Yeah.
So it's almost like he's her first love.
Yeah.
And then Kristen Cole was like...
Oh, rebound. He's a rebound guy.
Kristen Cole was the rebound. He really didn't understand that.
Don't ever, ever, ever make long-term commitments to your rebound guy. This is a PSA I'm offering.
PSA by Tracy.
It's for everyone.
So they're having this conversation. Viserys is like looking onwardly, and then now we have reached the climax of the episode. This is just like a bomb went off. I had to rewatch this a couple of times because I wasn't sure. The way that it's cut, everything is so fast, my brain wasn't processing it.
Same.
So the crowd screams and starts shuffling. Nobody can really see what's happening. Laenor tackles Kristen Cole off of Joffrey. And Kristen then sucker punches Laenor. God. And then Kristen Cole bashes in Joffrey's skull. Lionel nods to his son. I loved this part. Okay, this was another one of these subtle Lionel Strong moments. So camera cuts to Lionel Strong, and you see him nod and make eye contact with his son, Sir Harwin Breakbones. And Harwin totally lives up to the name and just bulldozes through the crowd.
I have a new character to appreciate.
I have a new character to be like, oh yeah, that's kind of hot. I mean, I was never on Team Kristen, so the way that, I mean, he throws her over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes. Just like, whoop, sorry, princess. Like, we're out of here.
She's like, no. And he's like,
right?
We're going.
Right? So as this happens, Viserys has a nosebleed. I'm like, oh my God, can this get like any more just wild? There's so much happening.
At least he didn't like nosebleed into his food. He'd worked so hard to like get it would have been even worse. I just got my lobster cut up exactly the way I like it. And now there's snot blood on it.
Poor Viserys. Why didn't they bring him out a plate that they had like prepared in the kitchens? Do you know what I'm saying? And like spare him the embarrassment?
Don't you think that would have been more embarrassing? The king can't even cut up his own food, so he's brought a plate like a child.
If someone would have noticed, he would have been like, there's too much salt on this. Bring me one from the kitchen.
Okay. You could do it to like save face for him for sure.
That's how I would do it.
Yeah.
But anyways, at this point, Rhaenyra has been pulled out of harm's way, and Laenor crawls to the side of his dead lover, crying.
Ugh.
Heartbreak. I feel for this young man so
Absolutely.
much.
Yeah, this was a moment where I just like sat with my heart like all like
Yeah.
I mean, how unfair. How unfair. How often do you actually get to have a person like that in your life and then to be violently ripped away from you in a moment just after experiencing hope? Like, this is devastating.
I would give this episode such a high rating depending on the repercussions of like one moment in this episode. Kristen Cole like sucker punches the future king
consort is what he would be.
If nothing comes out of this, like a Kingsguardman is just allowed to beat the snot out of the future king consort, like this better not be something that's like a dropped plot line, because I feel like it's just too big to let go. Even though like at the end of this episode, it looks as though, I think it's pretty obvious that Queen Alicent and Kristen Cole will now have this allyship together.
Yeah.
But the queen cannot just forgive this. I don't think that should be allowed. Like,
I agree.
for Alicent just to wave this away. I feel like that would be unrealistic.
I have a thought about how it might go, though, where she could defend what he had done.
Spin it.
Yeah. Like, especially if she's going to go after this as a moral issue. Like, perhaps her level of morality includes a strong distaste for same-sex relationships.
So, homophobia.
Yes. Yeah. And then, like, it says something about how Sir Kristen Cole is actually responsible for preserving the integrity of the upcoming union by eliminating this factor that would be part of their marriage.
But he punched Laenor in the face.
Like, maybe he gets flogged. Maybe we get a flogging scene for Sir Kristen. Maybe that's what happens. Because I agree with you, there should definitely be consequences for this action. And if Alicent's just able to walk in and be like, you know what? It's okay. It just is. Because I'm the queen and I said so. And we've got dirt on a mutual enemy now, basically. Like, there's no way they're going to see Rhaenyra as anything other than an enemy at this point. They've, like, they have burned that bridge. Yeah.
As this is happening and, you know, the chaos ends, we have this really slow rolling panning shot over the banquet table of the uneaten food and just the mess that's left on the table. And the royal couple are wed alone with only their parents onlooking. This was not the 7-day tournament and feast that I was hoping for.
No.
Never thought that I would feel the same way as this smarmy Lannister man, but here we are. Kristen Cole walks to the Godswood with his helmet in one hand and his cloak in the other. So he places his sword on the ground, pulls out a dagger. He's about to impale himself in the belly. And we hear Queen Alicent's voice saying, Sir Kristen. Then it cuts to the marriage. Viserys falls. And in the background, rats feast on the spilled blood in the hall.
As every good wedding should wrap up.
Right.
I'm very curious to see where this goes from here.
Have you noticed the rats in multiple episodes? Did you notice the rats last week?
Yes. Yeah, what do you think that, like, indicates? Is the city dirty? Is there a plague coming? Plague would be fun. Tell me, Amber, do you know?
This means something, and I don't exactly know what it means, but I know that there's some dots to make.
That's exciting.
Before we wrap this up, you got anything to say about this episode?
I am enjoying this show. I'm happy to be enjoying this show because it very easily could have gone in a different direction and been like, oh God, here we go. You know, and not been as good as it's been. And so I think I'm just really curious to see what's going to happen in the upcoming episode. Because we're getting new actresses now, right? For Rhaenyra and Alicent. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing what like mature Rhaenyra and mature Alicent are going to bring to the episodes from like the early episodes and like what they've learned. And it also looks as though what's his face Viserys is sticking around, but as like a mega super duper invalid king. And I mean, historically speaking, that rarely goes well. So
I don't know how they can explain like he's this sick. How does he last another 5-6 years?
Yeah.
I mean, wow. Unless this new maester comes in and was actually like using the poultice.
Yes. Or creating like a weird Westerosian oxygen tank.
Yeah, right.
Because I mean, seriously, like that's what I kind of expect him to have at this point, is to just be like rolled around in a chair with an oxygen tank.
He's in a gold hyperbaric chamber.
No one can smoke when they're around. It's really hard for lighting to happen there. That would be funny.
Do you have a favorite portrayal, like a favorite actor, character this episode? Is there someone that caught your eye?
Smarmy dude caught my eye. Laris. Yeah, he was the one that like really, I was like, oh, surprise new smarmy person. Cool. Like I'm kind of interested to see where this guy goes. It was a fun surprise.
I want to know what's up with House Strong.
Yeah.
There's something going on because we have Lionel, who's like seemingly doing a really good job at being Hand of the King. Like, and then his one son is causing trouble.
Right?
And then his other son is like...
straight up brawler.
Yeah. He's just like...
I'm the court brawler.
rushing through. Blue 42. That was so much fun. I think that was my favorite. I guess, yeah, I think all of House Strong this episode is like the...
I think they're the subtle piece of the story right now.
Yeah, me too.
I don't necessarily feel as though Alicent deciding she's going to declare war on behalf of herself and her heirs.
Girl, like, just get laid. She just... This is... with her tapestries.
I was just going to say, she has all the instruction she needs right there in her room. Sir Kristen already feels... I mean, she can manipulate that guy, and I'm a little worried about what that will potentially look like.
Oh, my goodness.
But I am also 100% down for it because I love seeing... and Game of Thrones pulls together some really awful women.
Yeah, I almost wonder if their relationship is going to take on, like, an almost... like, there's going to be sexual tension between the two. That's what I think.
Yeah, I was like, is a sexual exploration was the word that, like, kind of came to mind. Gross. Ugh. I know. I'm sorry.
No. Like, it's nothing you said. I'm just picturing them together. And
yeah.
Like, girl, my mental image. Better than that.
Maybe she doesn't feel like she can. Like, how does she know what she should expect at this point? She's only ever been, like, laid by an old, ailing man.
I feel bad for her, but I don't feel that bad. You know? Like...
no. I don't...
She burned a lot of bridges. Here's the thing with the series. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's so hard to find people you actually feel sorry for because at every moment they're gonna knife someone in the back. So it's like, this show, it's almost not even like there are gray characters. It's almost just like everyone is awful.
Ooh, that's a good point too.
I mean, and that's the thing, like, I don't think they're bad actors or bad writing. Like,
No.
I just think that all of the characters are, like, super duper out for themselves, and there's going to be so much backstabbing and infighting that I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick a favorite. Is there anyone who's actually going to be, like, pure in this show? Like, is there going to be one person who isn't just out for themselves, struggling, not a good person?
I'm kind of wondering if that's actually, oh God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. This is so terrible. Is this a more accurate representation of the way humanity faces moments like this? Where it does come down to aggressive protection of resources and status and making sure that somebody doesn't get the drop on you. In a world like that, their reactions feel more human and not necessarily filled with humanity.
I hope this is not a dig, but it almost reminds me of like a telenovela where it's like backstabbing and infighting and swapping partners and deaths and remarriages and spurned lovers. Like, it's really like a drama.
A little sprinkle of incest every once in a while.
But with incest and like, you know, like these quasi medieval backdrops and dragons. Like, it's like fantasy telenovela.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I love it. Like,
me too.
It. I can't not watch this.
And that's the thing that like I kind of am getting at is I think they have done a good job of making the show feel like you can connect to it. Like I feel drawn to several of the characters. I've struggled with other shows to feel connected to characters and whatnot. And like really, I think it was once we got to like episode 3 for this show, I was like, yes, yep, fully in, absolutely loving this. And then I went back and started watching it again, and I was like, oh yeah, this is actually good. I'm surprisingly super happy with how this show looks, how it feels. I don't feel like they were like, we have a huge budget and we have to do all of these crazy things with it. I think they were like, this is our story. How can we use our budget to make our story feel authentic and connect with a Game of Thrones audience? And I think they've just done a really good job with that.
I think they're headed in a very successful direction.
Agreed.
I don't know what the next, new thing is going to be from this world. I would love to get the Hedge Knight some Dunkin' Egg. I don't know why. That's just so heartwarming. It's such a different story than the Westerosi plotting and manipulation and backstabbing. It's a little bit more wholesome, maybe.
It's nice to have that balance.
Yeah, I mean, it's just different. And I don't know, the Sir Duncan the Tall, I just have such a soft spot in my heart for this character because he is like good, you know, like he's the one where it's like he's a good man. And I think that's just what I'm missing from this season so far, this show. Maybe if there's, like someone from a different class, maybe someone who's poor and not part of a royal house or something like this.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get someone introduced later that wins everyone's hearts. But for now, I'm just like, I've got whiplash.
I got it.
Everyone is awful.
You can't trust anyone.